12,800 years ago, the Earth burned. 75% of all large mammals vanished. Civilization was reset. But on top of the ruins, something inexplicable was built. People with no agriculture and no metal erected 200 stone pillars, each weighing 12 tons. Carved into those pillars was a record of fire from the sky. This may not be a temple. This is a warning. A record left by those who survived. In part 1, we traced the evidence that comet fragments struck the Earth 12,800 years ago. Platinum concentrations 100 times above normal. Melt glass formed at 2,200 degrees Celsius. Identical geological layers at over 50 sites worldwide. The ocean circulation system AMOC shut down, and the Earth froze for 1,200 years, and 35 genera of large mammals went extinct. The Clovis civilization vanished completely from the record. Then, in 2017, a research team at the University of Edinburgh published a paper analyzing the stone reliefs at Göbekli Tepe. Their conclusion was that this temple recorded a catastrophe. What did the survivors leave behind? Stone, DNA, myth, and cities beneath the sea. Shortly after the Younger Dryas ended and the ice retreated, approximately 11,600 years ago in southeastern Turkey. On a limestone hilltop at 760 meters above sea level, a massive stone structure began to be built, Göbekli Tepe. Over 200 T-shaped limestone pillars, the largest weighing 12 tons, 7,000 years older than the Egyptian pyramids. There were no metal tools, no wheels, no writing. Hunter-gatherers built this at a time when agriculture had not even begun. Ritual came before farming. The pillar surfaces are covered with elaborate animal carvings: foxes, vultures, scorpions, serpents, wild boar. But Pillar 43 changed everything. At the top of Pillar 43, a headless human figure and a vulture are carved. Below them, a disc-shaped carving. Martin Sweatman's team at the University of Edinburgh compared the animal positions to star constellation coordinates. The results were astonishing. The positions of the animals matched the night sky constellation arrangement around 10,950 BC with remarkable precision, within a margin of error of 250 years. This date overlaps with the onset of the Younger Dryas. The disc carving was interpreted as a comet fragment. The headless human figure was analyzed as a symbol of mass casualties. If this interpretation is correct, Göbekli Tepe is not a temple. It is a warning monument recording the fire that fell from the sky 12,800 years ago. But there is an even stranger fact. Approximately 10,000 years ago, someone intentionally buried the entire structure under soil. It was preservation, not destruction. According to excavation records from the German Archaeological Institute, the soil used for burial was transported from the surrounding area. It was a planned interment. Was it preserved so that someone in the future would find it? In November 2025, at Karahantepe, 35 kilometers away, approximately 30 new artifacts were publicly unveiled. Reuters reported the news. Among them were sculptures combining human and animal forms, direct evidence of prehistoric religion. Göbekli Tepe was not an isolated site. The possibility is now being raised that this entire region was a massive memorial complex built in the immediate aftermath of the catastrophe. Excavation continues. Do you believe Göbekli Tepe was a temple? Or do you believe it was a warning monument? Hold that answer for a moment and let us turn our gaze to the sea. We now shift our focus from Göbekli Tepe to the ocean. It is time to examine the coastlines of 12,800 years ago. Before the Younger Dryas, sea levels were more than 120 meters lower than today. What is now ocean was once land. Continental shelves tens of times the area of the Korean peninsula were exposed above water. Humanity lived along the coasts. If a coastal civilization existed, all of its traces are now under the sea, unverified by anyone. In 2001, grid-shaped structures were discovered 40 meters beneath the surface of the Gulf of Khambhat in India, 9 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide. These were sonar survey results from India's National Institute of Ocean Technology. Radiocarbon dating of surrounding sediments yielded an age of 9,500 years. However, whether these are man-made structures remains a matter of debate. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan, there is also a massive stepped stone structure on the seabed, 25 meters tall and 100 meters long. For 30 years, there has been no conclusion on whether it is natural erosion or artificial construction. One thing is certain, the archaeological survey rate of the world's continental shelves is less than 1%. 99% remains unexplored. We do not know what lies submerged. The records beneath the sea have yet to be opened. But even among the records left on land, unexplainable things occurred. Textbooks explain that agriculture emerged naturally around 10,000 years ago. But recent research raises questions. Immediately after the Younger Dryas ended, agriculture appeared almost simultaneously in at least 7 regions around the world. Mesopotamia, the Yangtze River, Mexico, New Guinea, Egypt, the Indus, and Ethiopia. Distances that made contact between them impossible. 7 civilizations with no contact achieved the same innovation at the same time. Abu Hureyra from part 1 reappears. The site where 2200-degree melt glass was found is also the earliest agricultural transition site. A comet destroyed the village, and the survivors began farming on that very spot. It was a world where 75% of the game animals had vanished. The only option left for the survivors was to plant seeds in the ground. Catastrophe gave birth to agriculture, and agriculture gave birth to civilization. If the survivors made history, the evidence should also remain in their bodies. We now look at the traces left in the bodies of the survivors. Ancient DNA does not lie. It is data from within bones. A genomic study published in Nature in 2022 analyzed genetic changes in South America around 12,800 years ago. A Y chromosome bottleneck was confirmed across all of South America, evidence that the male population was drastically reduced and then recovered. The scale could not be explained by war or disease. It is a record of the simultaneous collapse of the male population across an entire continent. In North America, the genetic lineage associated with the Clovis culture disappeared at the 12,800 year mark, replaced by an entirely different lineage. The same pattern was confirmed in Europe. The same genetic discontinuity appeared on 3 continents at the same time. This was not a regional event. It is evidence of a global population collapse. But there is a record that survived even longer than DNA. Myth. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh contains a story of the gods sending a great flood to destroy humanity. Only one person received a warning, built a boat, and survived. Its structure is nearly identical to Noah's Ark in the Old Testament. Manu of Hinduism, Deucalion of Greece, the fourth son of the Aztecs, and the destruction of the Third World by the Hopi people. They are all the same story. Over 200 civilizations worldwide possess flood myths with an identical structure: fire from the sky, a great flood, and the survival of a few. Why would civilizations that had no contact with each other share the same narrative? Is the explanation of a universal archetype sufficient? Some researchers argue that the collective memory of an actual event was passed down orally for thousands of years and transformed into myth. Fire fell from the sky, a great flood occurred, civilization was annihilated. Evidence and narrative converge into one. Let us now look at the full picture. The catastrophe of 12,800 years ago erased civilization, but it did not erase it completely. The survivors left their record in three ways. They carved it in stone, encoded it in their bodies, and passed it down through stories. The 200 pillars of Göbekli Tepe preserved that record in the earth for 11,600 years. In 2025, Karahantepe expanded its scope. The DNA of 3 continents bears the inscription of population collapse from the same period, and the myths of 200 civilizations remember the same catastrophe. 99% of the continental shelves have yet to be surveyed. Records that have never been opened may remain beneath the sea. According to multiple climate models, if a Younger Dryas level event were to repeat in the modern era, the global food system would collapse within 3 years. They erected 12-ton stones to leave a warning. And they intentionally buried them so that someone in the future would find them. That future may be now. The 12,800-year catastrophe series concludes with this episode. Watch parts 1 and 2 together and the full picture will emerge. The next destination is the Bolivian highlands at 3,600 meters above sea level. The secret of impossible stonemasonry that predates the Inca. Puma, Punku or underwater cities, which should we cover first? Let us know in the comments. See you in the next mystery.